Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Data and Donuts. My name is Aaron. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Terrence Willett. Hey, Terrence, we're here today to really talk about how to present information. But before we get into our interview, I'd like Terrence to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself.
Hi, my name is Terrence Willett. I'm the Dean of Research Planning and Institutional Effectiveness at Cabrillo Community College, and I'm also a senior consulting researcher with the RP Group on the Multiple Measures Assessment Project and a few other projects. I like to be outside quite a bit, gardening, hiking, looking at wildflowers for long periods of time and seeing what kind of bugs land on them.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Terrence. So as we get into this interview, please feel free to share any examples or experiences and the like, and just it can really help our audience kind of learn from a practitioner. So our first question is, how does knowing your audience influence the context of the information you're sharing?
Yeah, it helps with trying to determine how complicated of an explanation you can give depending on the background of the people that you're working with and what context you know that they know. Are you able to get away with using a lot of acronyms or highly technical language, or are you going to have to take the time to explain those so that people are invited into the conversation? And then by knowing your audience as well, you can make the content more interesting by providing contextualization that's relevant to their interests and experience. And you will also be aware of political considerations. There are some topics that, for example, you may be talking about an issue that might have some bargainable issues. For example, you're talking with a faculty member about making accessible course content, and they're talking about how much extra time that takes, and it starts getting into workload issues. And so you want to be sensitive to the political context and make sure that you don't start accidentally getting into bargaining, for example. So a lot of it's about the right level of technicality for your audience, making the material more interesting to them, and then avoiding stepping on a political landmine.
Most definitely. No, that's really good points. And as we start thinking about this, and in our field, we have a lot of complex information, a lot of cool complex information. But what strategies would you recommend for our colleagues on how to present highly complex information?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost is don't rush. Sometimes it's easy to get into this idea that, well, since it's complicated, I'm going to have to spew a bunch of words in the same period of time, and you start rushing, and that makes everything worse. Just take a breath, slow it down, and it's more important that people walk away with the bottom line of what you're trying to convey than necessarily you cramming in all the necessary technical details that may be expected on a final exam in grad school. And to take that complexity, break it down into digestible pieces. You don't take a donut and shove the whole donut into your mouth. You eat it one piece at a time so you can get through it. And when you're approaching the material, not everything is important. So think about the details and what's really essential. And if there's non-essential details, you can set them aside and then let people revisit them during a question and answer period. If you feel like it's something that's a nice to have rather than a critical core. So I tend to like to think of a presentation like a sandwich. You want to start and end with the bottom line of what you want people to walk away with and have the detail in the middle. And that helps with comprehension, I found. If you have the time, it's good to make sure there's time for questions as you present so that people can stop you if you've been going too quickly and they don't understand what you're saying. It's also helpful to be funny. If you can pull that off, and you use relatable analogies to help invite people into it. And using a mix of images, charts, tables, verbal, hand gestures, so that you're hitting people with a variety of different approaches and so that folks can access what you're saying in a way that works for them. Plus, you're reinforcing it by providing the same information in multiple ways. But those are a few strategies that I've used.
Those are excellent strategies. Thank you so much for sharing those. And we want to hear those more of in a real life experience. So could you just give me an example of when when something you presented went really well? Maybe touch on a few of the things that you did, and then why do you think it really went well?
Yeah, a recent example was from the RP conference just this last month, and I was presenting with some colleagues on the expanded ethnicity data in CCC Apply. And it's highly complicated and sensitive because one, you're talking about racial and ethnic identification and categories, and then which has social and political complexities and sensitivities on top of the technical complexities of actually getting at the data, preparing the data, presenting the data. And we had very little time, and I think there was 4 or 5 of us presenting. But despite that complexity, it went off really well. And one of the things that we had going for us, we had a highly technical audience. So we were able to assume a lot of knowledge. You should know what CCC apply is, or if I throw out the name of an MIS data element, if I say, SB, 29, you can assume folks, know that to some extent. That really helped. And then I think the other secret sauce part was we prepared. We knew it was complicated. We knew we didn't have a lot of time. We met several times prior to that, and we really worked to make sure that we had a logical flow between the topics and that we had smooth handoff between the different speakers. And we were reviewing each other's work to make sure that it was understandable and smooth. The other thing that I think is interesting with these Zoom type of conference presentations is people, in the old days, they would just raise their hand and ask a question. The speaker would stop and have to answer it. Now, folks can ask questions in the chat while the speaker keeps rolling. And if there are minor clarification questions or ancillary, another presenter can answer them real time in the chat, and the main speaker can keep rolling unless there's a showstopper type of a question in the chat, and then someone else can say, hey, could you back up? Someone missed a point. And I think that type of asynchronous question asking is very helpful. I think another thing that helped in this case to give us an advantage, several of us, we presented together, so we were relaxed and comfortable with each other. And I think finally, because of the sensitivities around talking about race, ethnicity, we didn't flinch from it. We addressed it up front and anticipated some of the concerns people may have. And so I think that was very helpful. And how do I know it went well? Well, we have evidence. There was an evaluation and we received the results and we had top marks all the way down. So I have proof that it was a good presentation and well received.
And I actually participated in that, and it was one of the best this year that I had seen. So great work on that. And that was one of those evaluations were for me. I think I wrote good job, because I'm so detailed in that response. But no, it was top notch, and I appreciate the work in that. We're actually already talking about how we're going to use it. So thank you. And so it comes to our bonus questions. So the first bonus question, remember, it's about the name of the questions have to relate to the name of the show. So data and donuts. So the first question is, in talking with a lot of researchers, a lot of non-researchers, we hear the term data, but it's pronounced data, data, data. I've heard it all different ways. How do you pronounce it?
I tend to pronounce it data, but I should say data.
Why?
Well, data sounds more refined. And data, I think, is more of an American way to say it. I've been watching a lot of old Star Trek lately, and I'm really gravitating towards trying to say it the way that Captain Picard says it. I think that's the way to do it.
There you go. Actually, it's funny because I'm going to be shooting some funny little ad clips, and I went back and got a 1992 figurine, and it's that guy Data. And so I got some donuts, so I'm to have him standing inside some donuts and stuff, like some plastic ones or silicone ones. So just different silly things I'm trying to come up with. But this toy is like 30 years old and in a mint condition package. I got like a killer deal online. And so I'm like, do I open it? and I don't know if I should, but I know I was talking to my friends, like, don't open it. I was like, so what? It's like $10. And they're like, it's worth so much more. I said, well, it just depends on if you can get it for it. And then we started laughing. So I don't know if I'll do it yet, but it's like I said, they're like, you realize that's like 30 years old. And it's like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Oh my God. 1990s was a long time ago. so we'll see if I open it to do that. And so my next question is, what's your favorite donut?
Okay. Well, that means I have to ask a question back.
Okay.
Is an eclair a type of donut?
It's a type of pastry. I would say yes. We'll say yes. Why not for today? I can be corrected.
Okay,
I'm sure
yeah.
there'll be comments, and that's the only people think comment. I was like, no, it's not, Aaron. I'll probably get some long dictionary example, but we'll go with eclair. Sure, why not? So that's it.
Yeah, or I guess maybe if you like put a hole through it, then it's like, all right, and then you've made an eclair. But if for the purists out there, I guess if it's not an eclair, and I have to talk about a bagel type donut with a hole in it, I mean, I like the chocolate glazed donuts. I'm fairly, but I don't like sprinkles. They get in my teeth. No sprinkles for me.
That's funny. I actually had a sprinkled donut the other day, and I was like, crunch, crunch, crunch. I was like, please. And it was like right before the show. I was like, oh God, what if this is in my teeth? And I started like drinking all this water and flossing. It's just ridiculous. That's a good point.
Oh yeah.
So cool.
Well, we got to hear about the donut definition too, because if you think about a jelly donut, they don't have holes in them, but they still call it a donut.
That's true, but you also see like those long donuts, like and those are donuts, but they're like the long rectangular donuts. So in bear
Oh
claws,
yeah, like a maple bar.
yeah, a maple bar, and they have also like the bear claws that are like just giant filled donuts. I've seen them all. So like I said, it's a part of my workout regimen to test all the donuts. So so it's cool. But no, it's been fun chatting. I think you really brought some cool insight today for our viewers. And like I said, if everybody who's taking a look at this, please select the button below to subscribe, and we'll see you later. So thank you again, Terrence. Appreciate it.
Oh, sure thing. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.